Hello dear soulmates and welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's tutorial, you'll be learning how to draft this beautiful cupped corset. If this is what you would like to learn, then kindly stay tuned to the end of this tutorial. Thank you. Alright guys, now so I have my pattern paper here and I'm also gonna separate it into two with the green line. So I'm using this part as the back and also this side as the front. Alright, now so the next thing I'll do now is to input in my shoulder to my waist measurement for the front. Now for the front I'm using 17 inches. So I'm just going to go ahead and mark out my 17 inches and then connect it using a ruler. Then I would also mark out my back half length, which is 15 inches, and then I'm just going to go ahead and then connect it straight also. Now when I'm Next, I'll measure from my shoulder to my chest line. To get your chest line now, you can divide your bust circumference by 6, then add 2.5 inches, and then connect it straight from the front to the back. So this is where our arm's eye would sit. You want to get it accurately, soulmates. Now the next thing is to go ahead and mark out my shoulder to my bust point. In case you forgot to take your bust point on your client or yourself, you can just come down by 1.5 inches or 2 inches from the chest line. Now I've gone ahead to mark out my shoulder to my under bust measurement, and then I'm just going to go ahead and rule them out straight. Next, now from my waistline, I'm going to measure and mark out my waist to hip length, which is 8 inches. Please, 8 inches is not a standard. You want to go ahead and take out your own accurate measurement. So I'm going to do the same thing for the back now, and then I will drill it out straight like this. After that, I'm going to just go ahead and label so I do not get confused. So I'm going to label my chest line, my bust point, my under bust, my waistline or my half length, and then my hip line for the back. I'll put the same thing for the back also. Next, I'm going to go ahead and measure and mark my shoulder divided by 2 on the shoulder line. Then I'll come down by 1.5 inches for my shoulder slope. For the neck now, for the width I'll use 3 inches, and then for the depth I'll use 3 inches. Then I'll connect it using a curve like so. This is the standard. Next, I would draw out my shoulder slope for the front. So I'll go ahead and also mark my shoulder on my armhole line and then connect it using a straight line like this. I'm going to go ahead and put the same thing for the back. I'll mark my neck width and then my shoulder. And I'll come down for by 1 inches for my shoulder slope for the back. I would also come down by 1 inch for the neck depth at the back and then also draw it out using my curve. I would go ahead and also mark my shoulder on my chest line and then connect it into a straight line to join the shoulder slope. To get my arms, I'm going to divide my armhole line into 2 and then come in by 0 0.5 inch. Then I'll connect it first using a straight ruler. Now I'm going to go ahead and mark my bust circumference divided by 4 on the chest line and then connect it to get my arm's eye. So that's how you get your arm's eye soulmate. I did the same thing for the front. I'll divide my armhole line into 2, then also come in by half inch to prevent tightening at that region. Then I'll connect it straight using the ruler first, and then I'll also mark my bust circumference divided by 4, in this case, which is 9 inches, and then I would also connect it using a curve to form my arm's eye, like so. Next thing I'll be doing now is to go ahead and divide my bust span or my nipple into two. So the nipple to nipple I'm working with here is 7 inches. I'll divide it into two, which is 3.5, and then I'll just mark it from my bust point line all the way to my hip line. Then I'll connect it into a straight line like so. Remember, this is a dartless corset. Now I'm going to do my under bust tightening. In this case now, I'll be using 0.75 towards the side front, center front, and then 1.25 towards the side front, and then I'll connect it to my bust point using the curve like so. I'm using this measurement because I'm actually a bust 36. If your bust is more than that, you want to go ahead and use your own accurate measurement. Now, whatever I have there now, I'll bring it down to the under bust and down to the hip line, and then connect it into a straight line. So I'm just connecting it into a straight line using my ruler like so. Now next I'm going to do now is I'm going to input in my waist circumference, my snatched waist circumference. So the waist I'm working with is waist 29. I'm going to cinch it by about 5 inches. Then I'll divide whatever I have into 4 and then connect it to the chest line like so. Now on my hip line now, I'm going to divide my hip circumference into 4, and then I would mark it on the hip line and connect it to my waist like so. Now the next thing for us to do now is to mark our corset length. Now for the corset length now, you want to come down by 4 inches from your half length or your waistline. So this is like a standard. The highest you can do is 5 inches. Your corset shouldn't be too long. Now I'm going to mark my bust dart and then connect it to my bust point, as you can see. Now when I'm going to find the midpoint of my shoulder and then connect it to my bust point too, like this. From my bust point, I'm going to come up by 3.5 inches, which would give me my over bust length. On both sides now, I'm going to tighten it by 0.75, 0.75, and then I'll connect it using a straight ruler into the bust point like this. Now when I'm done, from my CF, I'm going to mark 0.5 inch from my under bust now all the way up. I would also mark my cleavage, and then that is where my half inch I'm marking would actually stop. So I'm just going to connect it so you get to see what I'm doing. Now when I'm done, I'm going to go ahead and draw out my neckline. So I'll just use my cuff to draw out my desired neckline, and then I'll connect the other side into my armhole, and then I'll just blend it. Now when I'm done, I'm going to draw my cup. You can see that I'm placing my cuff to actually draw out my cup. So I have the first cup now. Now to draw out my second cup now, I'll go ahead and slash my green line into two. This is so that I'll be able to slash my shoulder dart and then close up my bust dart. You need to be able to close up your bust dart before you draw out your cup. So I'm just going to go ahead and fold over my bust dart gently, as you can see, and then I'm going to withdraw my side front. Next thing now, from the upper part now, my chest line, I'm going to come in by 1 inch or 1.5, and then I will draw my cup. From that 1.5, I'm going to connect it into my under bust. So I have my cup ready now. From my corset length, I'm going to come up by half inch. This is to actually avoid a sharp point, and then connect it. Now I would move over to the back because you're actually done with the front. Now from the back now, I'm going to measure my snatched waist, and then I would mark it. I would also measure my hip circumference divided by 4 and then mark it on my hip line, and then I'm going to connect it like so. Next, I'm also going to measure 4 inches, which I used for my front corset length. I also measure in the back corset length 4 inches, and then I'll connect it straight like so. Then I'll also come up by half inch and then connect it. This is to actually avoid a sharp point at the edge of my corset and to also give it a more cinched look. Now from the CB, I'm going to come up by 2 inches from the chest line and then 1 inch from the corset line, and then mark a slanted line. So this is where my loop would be. So I'm also coming down by 1 inch, and then I'll connect it into the chest line to give me a new neckline. So this is where my eyelets will be, and I'm just gonna hit labeling it now, the CB, the side back. The next thing for me to do now is to actually go ahead and cut out my pattern because we're actually done. So this is me cutting out my pattern. So you just want to go ahead and cut this out gently. Now I'm going to tape down my bust dart because we're actually done with this. I'm just going to tape it down with sellotape. Alright, so I've gonna to tape down my bust dart now, and this is me just going to cutting out my remaining pattern. So I'm cutting out the back now. Another thing you can also do now, if you're actually working with two nets, you can go ahead and add your seam allowance on your pattern. So this is me just cutting out my pattern. Now because this is going to be a dartless corset now, I'm going to go ahead and tape down my pattern like this. As you can see, I actually have is dartless now. This is the front, the back, and my cut. So my pattern set is ready. So I actually hope you enjoyed the tutorial. If you did, kindly give us a thumbs up and please subscribe if you haven't subscribed, guys. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.